Howdy folks, I'm going to make a belt pouch that'll fit powder flask, bullet or round ball holder, percussion caps, and a little thing of either grease or put wads in this. So to start with, I want it to hang like from the belt and not be up higher on the belt like a Civil War cartridge box, and I'm going to sew it inside out, so when it's all done the stitching will be on the inside, and then the pouch will come hang down, and then a flap will be over, and I'm going to leave that like a raw edge with fringe. So I've never done a project exactly like this before, so I'm figuring it out as I go to some extent. But laying this in here, we're about 6 inches. That's giving it on the long side. So I think I'm going to go to allow for the stitching to give me enough room. I think 7 inches should do it. So I'm going to come in 7 inches from the edge. Now I've already squared off this end and this end. Got that part knocked out. Now, put all these in here. I want them to sit down in just a little bit. So this is where Ben needs to start. Ben needs to end. And that would be where our flap would start. Now, in order to make this, I'm going to round off the bottom. In order to make that even, I'm just going to fold this in half. Right along, give myself a center line. The whole length of the paper. This paper won't be long enough for what the final thing will look like because the flap won't really be part of the pattern. So now get that. I'm probably not perfectly lined up here, but that's okay. Now I'm just going to take something like this thing. Round off that edge. I think I want a little bit more of an angle than that though. Well, I'll just freehand it because I don't have anything that's going to work good. Closer. When you're making patterns, there's a lot of trial and error, at least the way I do them. I like how that looks. Okay. So now we've got the main thing of our pattern. Okay, I was thinking a little backwards with my thought process here, but anyway, I was thinking it would be all one piece. But that was the original design I was thinking of, then I changed my mind, and then I kind of forgot about that. So anyway, now we're going to make a piece to go in the front. And you're going to just kind of eyeball and fold this again, and we're just going to cut that. That'll work. So this is going to be the front piece. So to trace that out, I'm just going to trace out all around here, and I'll trace this, and then where these 2 points stop, then I'm just going to cut that across. So that'll be the front piece, and this will be the bottom, and then this will fold over like this. This part will go in the belt, and then this will be the fringed flap. I don't think I'm going to do any closure on it. I'll probably make it longer, pretty much the length of the thing, and that way it'll hang over enough that it'll be heavy enough you won't need any closure on it. So that's the basics of my pattern. Now I got to get a chunk of leather and cut this out. Okay, one or two more things with the pattern. So like I said, this is going to fold over like this. The belt's going to go through this part, and then this is the flap. So in order to give myself enough room, so this is going to sit about there. That'll give me a line right here, so that'll be approximately where I would stitch for the belt loop. So now I need to come up. Most of my gun belts are 2 1/4 inches. So just to mark my pattern ahead of time, 2 1/4, 4 1/2. And you gotta allow for stitching. So that's gonna be, just gonna add another 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna go 5 from that mark. That'll be where I mark my stitch holes. Okay, using a piece of chrome tan water buffalo. That's what it looks like on the other side, and then it's kind of a red color. I don't know if the camera's picking it up very good. And the good thing about this project is you can use these flappy, kind of crummy parts by the leg that are, you know, soft and stretchy, fuzzy on the backside. A project like this, you can use that part of the leather. That's why I like to do these kind of things once in a while. So I'm going to leave a little extra up here so I get that raw edge. And then we're going to, that's probably enough right there. I'm going to scratch all, and I'm not going to bother with scratching out the top, the flap there. I'm just going to go along the bottom here. Okay, now I gotta cut that out, and then I'll do this part. Probably cut it out off camera just to save time. that's all I need cut out is just those two pieces, and then we'll mark them to sew, get them stitched up, and flip the other way, and get them sewed like this so we can turn them right side out again. But get to the next step. So I got white jeweler's rouge in this strap, and I usually take my edge groover and just strap it on here a couple of times. Just helps it get a nicer cut here. So we're gonna place this part right over here. Make a mark at the top so we know where to start and stop. You can tell this leather is fuzzy, plus it's just got a little bit of a pebble to it, so it makes it so your grooving isn't all that pretty, but got it on there. This was a slightly nicer piece of leather that I used for this. One thing I might do that I haven't decided yet is put a little pocket on the front here for the caps, but I'm not sure if I will or not. If I'm going to do that, I should figure that out right now, because once it's sewed together, it'll be too late. I might make another one of these. So this one I'm not going to put a pouch on, see how I like it, and then if I would rather have a little pouch on the front for the caps, then I will make another one and do that. So now you just gotta chisel the perimeter and then sew them together like that, turn them inside out, and then I gotta sew the flap or the belt loop and cut the fringe. So that's about all that's left of it. So I've already chiseled my line in here. I'm going to place it on top here and line it up. Make sure my edges are all lined up. And I'm going to go to the last hole, make a mark. And the last hole on the other side, make a mark. Make sure those are good and deep. And I know where I need to start and stop. So when I stitch this together, it all lines up. So I'm just using a 4-prong flat chisel off of Amazon. I'm just going to start in that mark and do first time, last hole, all the way around. Alright, so we're stitching this with the rough side out. And I went in 4 holes down from the top, and I'm just going to do a basic saddle stitch using John James harness needles, and I'm just going to keep doing just like this. So I start 4 holes from the top, and then I just do a saddle stitch on my way up. If you don't know how to saddle stitch, there's videos out there, or you can ask me to do a video. I've never done one specifically for that, even though saddle stitching is in a lot of my videos. But you can either put this in a stitching pony or do it freehand like this. Stitching pony is a little faster, but once you get the hang of it, this isn't all that hard either. So back stitching 4 holes, and then go all the way around to the other side, and then I'll go down and then sew back up and end it. So we'll pick the video up again when I end the thread, and then we'll turn it inside out, sew the flap, and then all we got left to do is cut the fringe. So see ya when I get to the next point. I had that one saved for you. Alright, finished stitching, and I back stitched about 4 holes, and then just tie a knot in it since that's going to be the inside anyway. You're not going to see it. Ordinarily, if I was doing top grain stitching, I would sew down, sew back up, and then tie a knot in the end and then burn the edge. So now we got to flip this thing so it's right side out again. It's going to be kind of hard to keep in the camera during this process, but you get the idea. Now I have a very scientific tool, which is this shed antler that I use to help push it where it needs to go. This is probably one of the most difficult parts of these kind of projects, is getting this so it gets stuck. You want to make sure you get it to where there's no big divots and where you can almost see the thread. That's where the antler kind of really helps a lot. Wouldn't have to be an antler, anything that'll fit in there. Now we'll see if we did our pattern right. It's not the exact look I was going for, but it's pretty close. Now, I'm gonna take you back to my pattern table. Okay, where the belt loop would actually be, I think is a little bit wide. So I'm going to, I got this folded in half, I got my mark here and my mark here for where that needs to be. And I'm just going to take my knife, and I'm just going to freehand from one of those points to the other, and just take off some leather. That way when it's folded, then it'll be, so when it's sitting on your belt, you can't see my belt, but when it's sitting on your belt, you won't have this so much. It'd more sit flat, so you're just, if you do it just like this, it's going to be folded over and it's going to look terrible and not function good. So we're going to lay, better, this, I don't know how I'm going to do this now. I should have thought of this before, but it is what it is. Oh, this will work just fine. Doesn't have to be exact with this project anyway, but I'm just going to trace that both sides. Like I said, this is one project where the holster I would try to be as persnickety as possible and make sure I got everything absolutely precise. With this project, it doesn't matter a whole lot. It's supposed to look rustic. I just want it to look somewhat uniform, like I know what I'm doing. Okay. So, just measure. I'm going to go down. So my belt's 2 1/4. So I'm going to go from the inside bend over here. From the inside bend here, so I'm coming in a little bit from this edge. And since my belts are all 2 1/4, I'm going to go down to 2 1/2 and make a mark. And 2 1/2. Okay. Now I'm just going to get this so it looks even. Yep, that's pretty good. Now for my chisel holes on this, I'm just going to use my awl and make a line there. And we're just going to go 5 inches up, just the other way. Alright, I'm going to chisel and sew that together off camera. So then it's going to sit like this on your belt and hang down. And then we'll figure out how we're going to cut the fringe out of this. Kind of wishing I'd have left this a little bigger on this side. But once I trim this off, I may round it and not leave it a raw edge. We'll see. I'll know more once I get the rest done and see how it looks and how I like it. Alright, I'll be back to cut the fringe and that'll be the final product. Okay, so on further discovery, after I started making this thing, I realized I had screwed up a couple things. So these lines I crossed off, made new ones 6 inches apart. By the time you fold it and sew it, that's about right for your belt. The other thing I did was fold it this way and then fold it this way and take my knife and trim off and even that up. So, because when I went to stitch it, it ended up being kind of cocked at an angle. So I ended up cutting my stitches off and re-sewing it, which means now I have a stitch line sitting there where it don't belong. But here's the final product. I ended up had to fold it like this, and I just took a straight edge and just eyeballed every 1/4 inch or a little over, a little less. Some of them I made a little bigger than others on purpose. Some of them I made a little stronger. I mean a little thinner or a little goofy shaped or whatever to make it look rustic. But I just made a line so the non-fringe part would cover up the opening, and then just took my straight edge from that line and just cut out with my utility knife. So that's the finished product right there. Let me adjust this quick. So that's the finished product, and I like a 2 3/4 inch belt. I mean, excuse me, 2 1/4, not 3/4, 2 1/4. And it fits on there real good and snug. As you can see, there's that extra stitch line, which actually doesn't really look that bad. I can't decide if I like this design or not, but for my 1851 Navy, I can have a holster and belt and knife on one end, my ammunition on the other. There's plenty of room in here for a small flask, the bullets. Got a little piece of a dowel for seating the primers. I got my patches in this one, and then caps in this one. So I'm all ready to go to the range, and it's in a nice package. Or if I don't feel like using paper cartridges, making paper cartridges and using my pouches for that, I can throw this on my belt and I don't have to have a separate bag. I can just grab this belt, head out to the woods or the range or whatever, and I've got my gun, my knife, and all my ammunition. So it's all in one package and looks kind of cool. The fringe, I like it. I'm wondering if maybe I should have went with a lighter colored leather to match my holster a little better. Also doesn't matter a whole lot if it matches, but it looks kind of cool. It's kind of like an old-fashioned Indian medicine bag a little bit looking. But there's my perfections of the pattern. The next one I make, I'll get that stitch line right the first time. Like I said, trial and error with the prototype, but functional, and hopefully I make it to the range tomorrow and I can use it and see how I like carrying it. So anyway, that's my short little quick video. Well, probably not that quick, but that's my video on making a fringed belt pouch for black powder. Thanks for watching.